That's the trick right there.
Hey, it's been a hot minute. Let's talk. He made the whole world dance. He made kids dream. He made adults cry. Everybody knows the moonwalk, and he was the most famous man on earth. But behind the scenes, the fame broke him. This is Michael Jackson. Rise, fall, and the truth behind the king of pop. So before the fame, the diamonds, and Neverland Ranch, there was Gary, Indiana, and life there was rough. Now MJ here was born August 29th, 1958 into a working-class black family with 9 children. His father, Joseph Jackson, worked long shifts at a steel mill. His mother, Catherine, was deeply religious and held the family together spiritually. However, money was tight and struggle for survival was real. But Joseph saw something in his kids early. They were talented, especially Michael. And according to multiple interviews from family members over the years, Michael could sing before he could properly spell words. Now think about that for a sec. This little kid had range and could sing up a storm, and by age 5, he became the lead singer of the Jackson 5. Hey yo, most kids that age are learning multiplication, but MJ was performing in clubs full of adults. This kid got a lot of gigs and was grinding hard with talent shows and local performances. Then, something happened that took things to another level. They got a deal with Motown Records, y'all. After the Jackson 5 signed with Motown in 1968, Berry Gordy immediately recognized the gold mine sitting right in front of him. Michael immediately became the center of the attraction. However, behind the scenes, things were, complicated to say the least. The pressure was too much for a child. Michael later admitted he felt his childhood was stolen. While other kids played outside, he had to rehearse for hours. But that ain't all. His father was reportedly a harsh disciplinarian, and Michael would later speak openly about the emotional pain connected to those years. A lot of people believe that trauma followed him for life. But here's the thing. Pain and greatness have always had a strange relationship in Hollywood. Some of the brightest stars carry the darkest scars. And by the late 1970s, Michael was ready for something bigger. And this time, it wasn't just group success, but he attained individual greatness. And that's when the real Michael Jackson story began. The little boy from Indiana was preparing to become the biggest entertainer the world had ever seen. The year was 1979 and Michael released Off the Wall, produced by Quincy Jones. Now that album sold over 20 million copies worldwide. It was indeed a huge success, but Michael wasn't satisfied. And that's the scary part. Most artists would celebrate for years after numbers like that. Michael looked at 20 million records sold and basically said, nah, we can go bigger. And as for his finances, he began to see what could only be called mad money. He began to get tour revenue, publishing revenue, merchandise, endorsements, and licensing deals. Michael wasn't just making music no more. He was building an empire. But one of the smartest moves he ever made happened in 1985. That was when he bought the ATV music catalog for around 47.5 million smackaroos. Although some people thought he overpaid and made a big mistake, time eventually proved them wrong. Michael literally owned publishing rights connected to the Beatles' music. Ain't that wild? Then, that ownership changed everything. That investment later became worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Some estimates placed his 50% Sony ATV stake around $390 million by 2007. Michael understood business better than many people realized. And for example, it's one thing to wear the drip, but another to actually own the building selling it. So Michael was getting richer and famous by the day, but fame at that level comes with a lot of pressure. At this point, Michael's life was becoming less normal by the day. Imagine his fans fainting just looking at him, and women crying uncontrollably at his concerts. Security had to move him through crowds like a president. He wasn't living like a guy no more, and eventually, the pressure became too much. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, people noticed major physical changes in Michael. His skin became lighter, and it seemed like his facial features changed. Rumors were everywhere saying he had performed some surgeries to change the color of his skin. However, he didn't agree with their claim. Michael instead publicly stated that he suffered from vitiligo, a skin condition causing loss of pigmentation. His autopsy later confirmed he had the condition. But however, during his lifetime, the media turned his appearance into a global circus. Now, did Michael undergo cosmetic surgeries? Oh, absolutely. He even admitted to some procedures publicly. But over time, the changes became dramatic enough that even longtime fans felt shocked. And that's where the nickname Wacko Jacko started spreading through tabloids, a nickname Michael reportedly hated deeply. But changing his physical appearance was just the beginning of his many woes. Okay, now this part of Michael's story is a little difficult, and it's important to approach it carefully. So, in 1993, Michael Jackson faced the first major sexual abuse allegations involving a 13-year-old boy named Jordan Chandler. The accusation shocked the world, and up until that point, Michael was controversial. But now, his entire image changed overnight. Media coverage became non-stop and sponsors backed away. Public opinion split in half, some were in support and others not so much. Now, Michael denied the allegations completely and no criminal conviction happened in that case. But the matter ended with a financial settlement reportedly worth around $23 million to $25 million according to various reports over the years. But here's the thing. Once allegations like that enter public convo, they never fully disappear. And in 2005, another criminal trial came up, and there were waves of accusations and multiple media frenzy. This time, however, Michael faced multiple charges, and the trial became one of the biggest celebrity court cases in history. After months of testimony, Michael Jackson was found not guilty on all charges in June 2005. Now, legally speaking, he was walked free. However, his public perception was already damaged forever. Some people believed his innocence completely, but others never trusted him again. And to this day, the debate continues. On June 25, 2009, the whole world stood still when MJ's death was announced at age 50. He died inside a rented mansion in Los Angeles. People literally stopped what they were doing when the news broke. Twitter crashed from traffic spikes and news stations interrupted their broadcasts. According to official findings, Michael died from acute propofol intoxication. Now, propofol is a powerful surgical anesthetic. And immediately people were asking questions. Why was Michael using such a strong medication? At that point, Michael's life had become deeply dependent on medication, insomnia treatment, and medical supervision. Reports described intense exhaustion connected to rehearsals for This Is It. His personal doctor, Conrad Murray, was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter in connection with the death. According to multiple reports over the years, Michael Jackson's estate eventually generated billions after his death. And after everything we covered, one may ask, what's the actual truth about MJ, huh? Honestly, the truth depends on which version of him people chose to focus on. To some people, Michael Jackson was a musical genius who changed entertainment forever. To others, he became a deeply troubled celebrity surrounded by controversy, isolation, and accusations that permanently damaged his legacy. But one thing is clear. Michael Jackson's story is one of the wildest rises and falls in entertainment history. From a child star in Gary, Indiana to the king of pop, he also went from billions in influence to massive controversy and crushing debt. However, through all of it, one thing stayed true. The world never stopped believing in Michael Jackson. Now, whether people see him as a misunderstood icon, a tragic celebrity, or one of the greatest performers who ever lived, his impact is undeniable. So what do you think the real truth about Michael Jackson is, huh? And while you're still here, please make sure you subscribe to our channel.